Just wanted to make sure it was ready. Um, Greetings, everyone. So happy to be here with you again. It's been a while. I really appreciate everyone in this room being here today and for the beautiful work that you're all doing in the community. Myself, I'm Caryl Henry Alexander, and I also work in my community as an artist and an activist around environmental issues. I live in the DC suburbs in Maryland. I guess I would be about 15 minutes from the White House with there's no traffic, which is never. And but my joy is heading south into the rural areas of Prince George's County, which is where I live. So I'm happy to be with you. And how do y'all feel about just saying a few words about how you are today? What you're thinking, what's on top? Something that is a positive, something that's really positive for you, that contributes to your feeling well, and just a little something so we can kind of come together. Alpha, will you start?
Sure. And today's a good day for me. You know, I feel like I got the rest I needed yesterday by doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know, I was anticipating the fireworks last night that to give me this big show. And so I just kind of, the day went, and I very seldom take those kind of days where I'm not on the computer, or I'm not working. I'm just lounging and laying around and looking out the window, looking at the sky, and, you know, feeling blessed, you know, because we're living our best life and feeling blessed, and, you know, all the things that are going on around us, but taking that time, you know, I really feel I'm really relaxed today and not all hyper and thinking about all the stuff that I need to do, but, you know, just being in the moment.
You wear it well. Thanks for sharing.
I got my 1 hour of sun because I swam laps this morning. So anytime I'm in the water, I am fine. My sons used to tell me go to water aerobics or go swim laps when I used to get when they were little so that I could chill out. So if I start the day with water aerobics, and then I went to senior tea and coffee time. So I'm in a good mood. I've socialized and I've gotten my sun and I've gotten some energy out.
Wonderful, Lisa. How about Rhonda? Thank you for sharing, Lisa. Anyone else want to share?
I spent the entire day yesterday doing art. So being able to do art is always a healing process for me. It makes me feel good. And so that's what I did yesterday. I had a lot of computer work to do, but I decided to not touch the computer and pick up a brush. And that's what I did all day yesterday. So I'm feeling good about that right now.
That's wonderful, Shona. I don't know how I'm having challenges with shifting from computer to brush.
It's hard.
So, yeah.
But yeah. I did that. So I feel good about it. Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, again, for me, it's like I shifted gears on Friday when I packed all of the textile work into the trunks and put all of that away and brought all the paint out to get ready to paint. But I needed to shift and, you know, like change because it's a whole different, you know, vibe in the space when you're doing textile in the winter versus, you know, when you're coming into working with water and paint and acrylics, you don't really, you know, cross-pollinate the studio. I had to shift and put things away and then bring things out, begin again. So I'll be right there with you, Shona, in a minute.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna be right there with you guys. And the retreat that we hosted for Shona when I was out in California, they did all the drawing and stuff, and I was in the background working. I was visiting too, but I didn't pick up the pencil and get started, you know. So this is, you know, July 1st is a welcoming, you know, for me to get back and shift the gear and get these projects underway. So.
I see that for you, Alpha. I myself, if anyone else wants to share, that's great, or else I'll just move along.
I can share a little bit. Just getting used to my space. I'm trying to figure out how to send some pictures through to you guys. I've been slow with it. I apologize with sharing how the space looks, but it's really great. And I understand, Alpha, what you're talking about, putting away one thing so you can do the other, you know. But now I'm going to brag because I can leave it all out. Oh my gosh.
That's a good feeling, Wanda.
Oh my gosh. Is it? Oh my gosh. Is it a good feeling?
Yes.
And I was always afraid, okay, I'm making these dolls with the fabrics and everything. And then I go to paint something. And I was always afraid that I get paint on the dolls. Oh gosh. So yeah, I'm loving it. Loving it.
I guess you're having a new studio, live work or studio?
Yeah, it's a work studio, only 5-10 minutes away from my house. So
that's awesome.
I've been promising to share, but I did take some pictures a couple of days ago. So I'm gonna see if I can do it by next week, you know, share the pictures from the studio. But yeah, doing good.
I wonder how much, thank you, Rhonda. I know you're feeling good. I feel you. I wonder how much of what we're talking about we actually think of in terms of our wellness. And when someone says that idea of wellness or well-being, is what we're talking about important to you? Are there other things that you would like to weave in? These are questions that I ask myself. I'm asking you because I'm asking myself as well. The last few years have been challenging for me as an artist. I know we all have our stories. And one of the things I did at the beginning of the pandemic was to try to find some fellowship funding so that I could focus on this pivot. Do you remember back in 2020, everyone was talking about pivot, because we were in our homes and we're pivoting on to Zoom and, you know, changing how we do our artwork. At least that's how I experienced that time. So I had gotten some fellowship money to pivot to online some kind of creative expression. And so I got this fellowship to try to learn creating video, with the idea that it would be as expressive as my work for me and for the communities that I share it with. And so, you know, I've been working on it. I had the subject of the environment around me because I live in an area that's on the outskirts of DC and is being extremely developed. And so every time it seemed that I went out during the pandemic to run to the grocery store and back or whatever, it just seemed like another huge amount of trees and natural land was down and gone. And it was really jarring in terms of, you know, your sense of place, my sense of place, but also just the idea of having less natural life around to interact with us and keep us all healthy, the plants and the trees and the water, you know, and us all being healthy together. I'm thinking my well-being is dependent on their well-being. And where I live, It's funny because a lot of people have moved out of the city and into our area here, and the first thing they do is take all the trees out of their yard,
Ooh.
and put up a fence. So, things are really changing. I'm playing with the idea of change. So anyway, I worked on this video for about 8 months, 6 of which I just couldn't come up with a clear thought and just was doing footage. And then I found someone to work with me on the tech stuff. That was my barrier. I really didn't think I could do the tech stuff. And so, in collaborating with a tech person, I learned a lot, and we end up coming up with this 5-minute video that is about my local environment and how I feel about it and how it impacts my artwork. So I wanted to share it with you. I just finished the program. We had an event about 2 weekends ago and showed it, the world premiere of the video, and now you all are the second to see. And so let me show it with you, and I'd love to talk about it when it's done. Okay. Okay. County Oasis. My name is Caryl Henry Alexander, and the county is Prince George's in Maryland. I have family in Maryland, the Eastern Shore, and when the winds of change directed me in 2004 to Prince George's County, like this deer, I was stomping and wanted to run. Then I began to realize and feel that I am uniquely positioned in the arms of the Patuxent River and the Potomac River that both flow to the Chesapeake Bay and then on to the ocean and into infinity. Their presence sparked my imagination, inspired me, and led me to create. Yes, the winds of change have come to our South County oasis, and we are not alone. This is the truth for communities all over the world. We're losing our natural habitat for our families, friends, and neighbors, as well as the animals, birds, insects, reptiles, and fish who reside beside us. As an artist and herbalist who is deeply connected with my local environment, I am inspired in this time of change to record through my art where we all are right now and to inspire your imagination and creativity in envisioning our future. The natural world is what keeps us alive and well. So, yes, my art reflects the winds of change that have come to our South County oasis and beyond. Enjoy our space as it is today. Our future is forming. Imagine, take action, create. I want to share some of the beauty and joy of this oasis with you. Let's focus on the loveliness, the grace, the elegance and creativity of art and nature. This is us. We are this, continuously flowing. And what I'm hoping to do right now is to share 3 plants with you that have been in perfect place to share where they're at and also have a lot to do with the art that I'm going to share with you. So the first one is mullein, and this is mullein. It's a beautiful plant. It's a biannual plant. It has leaves that are like velvet. They're really beautiful. And actually now it's just starting to bloom. And I've been cutting off the leaves as it's been growing and drying them and preparing them to make tea, because mullein is a plant that soothes the respiratory system. And then here I have another plant called rue, and it's an ancient plant, rue. Rosemary I think of as let me get a little piece. Beautiful fragrance, very beautiful aroma. It's a culinary herb as well as a medicinal herb. When I smell it, I think of maybe my grandmother and her mother and the wisdom. It helps me like remember. That's what it is. It's really good for memory. I feel like the energetic of the plant is that of memory, our ancestral memory. Thank you, Gratitude Garden. All right. Welcome to my
Congratulations.
South County away.
Congratulations.
Thanks for watching it.
Yeah, so that was like a culmination of your fellowship.
Yes. And I think of it as a advocacy for us to really connect with nature in some way, to help with our well-being. It's through my own personal experience, starting when I was young, and my father and I would drop my sister and mother off at church on Sunday, and we would go hiking in the woods. And it just became my time of peace and a way to just kind of relax and breathe and notice what was living around me. And it's really been since that time that my life is connected with the land, the air, the wind, all of that, in its wellness and in my wellness. And I kind of think that piece is a little bit magical in that we wish the nature was totally beautiful and blue and healthy and strong, but we are part of nature, and it is our wellness that reflects in the natural world, and the natural world's wellness that reflects with us. And so, this is my advocacy for my sisters, and to really try to get with nature in some very small or big way. And I'm wondering if people here in this room can relate to the magic and the power of being with nature, even if you're not totally with nature. Like sometimes I have just on my altar flowers, and they bring that energy of growth, of beauty. For me, this is what I see when I look at flowers, and they're opening, they're budding, they're opening, they're doing their thing and dropping and readying seeds for next year. you know, it's I'm really trying to advocate with you all to have or to enjoy and continue a life that it has a rhythm that is connected with the environment around you. And it's a funny thing because, you know, when we're out of sync, that out of syncness is with all the beings. You know, you can feel other humans, and you know, when you notice, like my dad taught me, he had us sitting and looking at a squirrel for 40 minutes to see how it lived and what it did and how it did it, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, even when you just notice the bird in the tree right outside of your apartment, it's like you can tell like two birds, they're fighting or they're loving or they're feeding their babies, or, you know, all of that noticing, from my experience, brings us to a most rooted and grounded place to be able to have that strength and wellness, to do what we do in this world, what we were put on this earth to do. I just think it's very important for us to consider that. I'd be so interested. I don't know where everybody lives. I know Alpha is in Chicago.
Kayla had her hand up. She was going to make a comment.
Excellent.
You're just talking my language. I don't know. I feel like it's done. You said it. Like I live that kind of life, even though I'm in the urban environment. I grew up hearing my grandmother tell me, "Girl, I don't know how you got so country, growing up in the city all your life, walking around with bare feet." I learned how to garden by just putting some seeds in the ground at 16. My mother told me when I was 4 and she used to garden, I was like coming down the stairs, giving her a heart attack because I didn't know how to come downstairs, but I wanted to garden. So here I am, nearly 35 years later, still gardening, and I hosted a couple garden workshops in my backyard during COVID. I think it was last year, the year before, seed swaps, just to help share the love I have of plants in the natural environment and the ability to grow your own food as well, and herbs. And so I hosted a cool season gardening workshop to show people how to make a mini greenhouse from just simple materials that you can get. And I was so shocked because in Chicago it gets cold in October, November. And I had 20 plus people show up, stayed the whole 2 hours with gloves and hats and coats on to learn this. And we're so wanting it, desiring that connection. And then I have this little deck on the back of my house. And in the morning, sometimes I'll go out there and have breakfast. And it's just the sound of birds, or to meditate or do yoga outside, or just be like, I actually was out there today because Chicago has a heat warning today. And I was out there 15 minutes sweating like a pig, but I had to pick my raspberries so the storm won't knock them all off the plant. So I keep trying to find ways to grow more things that I can nurture, and I let plants go to seed so I can collect them. And there is such a thing as a Chicago fig tree. So I planted one of those, and I have strawberries and asparagus. I planted blueberries and blackberries this year, and I have lots of veggies. And I love my backyard and my garden and my natural space so much that I offered, that same year I did the gardening workshops, I just put out a call to some of my friends who I know do things. And I said, listen, if you need a space to host an event or do something, no cost, just use my backyard. And there ended up being 5 belly dance workshops in my backyard. And I would let people take tomatoes and just sit and be with nature. Someone hosted a healing circle in the backyard. And I would teach people about the herbs and what they do. But before I owned this house, I would do things like not only tree hugging, but I would lay on the grass when I was in art school out in Grant Park and just lay in the grass and attempt to feel like the vibration of the earth, to where I connected with it. And I just love sharing about it. People now come to me to ask how to grow stuff. So that's my juice, man. When I get stressed, my friends ask me, have you been in the garden? You're not gardening, are you? You must not be gardening.
That's beautiful, Kayla. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I love how you share your space. You know, there's the fences aren't going to keep you from having people in the community in your space and sharing your knowledge and the fruits of the land. It's amazing how generous, you know, plants are.
They are. And you know what?
So generous.
What I did, so I asked this young lady who's studying permaculture and she does urban gardening and all this. I asked her to help me because she posted a photo from a permaculture conference of a spiral planter. And I was like, I've always loved those. I want to do one. Will you help me make one? So we went and salvaged some bricks, put some soil in it, and I planted strawberries. And I thought just a mum. It turned out I also planted mint, which is fine. And then I put a little pumpkin in front of it in the fall. And I let the pumpkin just die over the winter, and it disintegrated and all the seeds were there. And then something sprouted, of course, volunteered itself. And then I subsequently have planted melons. We'll see how they do. But I want to create, and this is in the front of my house, in the front yard that everyone has access to. I just want to create a front yard garden that my neighbors can come and get whatever they want.
Well, I would like to ask Kayla if we can see some pictures, if you will share us some photos next month when I come back to hang out with y'all. I would love that very, very much. And I appreciate you sharing. Don't you love her energy? Honestly, around that, you just so much.
I light up.
Yes, you do. And I'm wondering, for people who don't actually have a garden like Kayla, how do you connect? Or do you connect, and how does that connection with other living beings and kind of, you know, and giving energy, taking energy, you know, the circle that keeps us whole and strong. How does that manifest, that connecting in with your life? I'm wondering, because I'm always, there's so many ways to do it. The way Kayla was talking about, but there's just so many other ways too that we connect with other living beings, even if it's your, what do they call it, fur baby? Or I don't know, out here they call the dogs fur babies. But I would love to hear, you know, your experiences. I wonder if someone has something to share in this moment. Lisa.
Even though I'm from North Carolina, I planted my first flower garden because I lost 2 pine trees probably 6 years ago in the backyard. So every time something sprouts, I'm amazed that it actually grew. So it reaps a whole lot. I can't do vegetables because I've got rabbits. I live about a block from a forest preserve.
Ooh,
so
nice.
I've got too many critters running around, but I go walking up the preserve. I can go for about a block and just start walking through the woods.
Nice.
So that's how I connect. But the rosemary, I've always grown rosemary because I like to put it in water, because the rosemary in the water, I can drink tons of water if I put that rosemary in that water.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's something about the rosemary. But no, yeah. I think I'm a woods person because I always have lived near the woods, except when I lived in California.
That's wonderful. I love what you say, everything, you know, when something sprouts and grows. And you know, being connected with other living things, for me, it's a reminder for myself about planting seeds, sprouting, and growing. You know, it's very much metaphoric. So for like, as I walk through the world, I may see a couple of birds, like in my neighborhood, the crows want to come hang out here. And we haven't had crows before, but the habitat is getting, chopped down, and there's more animals and stuff who want to live here than before. So the crows come flying over, and the mockingbirds go 2 or 3 at a time and chase them out. Birds 3 times their size, but they go after it. And I'm thinking, that also is a metaphor for so much that's going on in our world. So in a certain way, it's like paying attention grounds me to the truth. The truth.
So with Shona, she because of the severe drought in California, Shona, when I was there, she had turned her garden maybe last year. Shona, is your physical therapist there yet?
No, not yet. She should be here in any minute. But I was gonna because I always love the idea of gardening because both of my grandmothers, they were into gardening, but don't laugh at me. I've always been afraid of bugs, worms, and spiders and other little things like that. So during COVID, I got over that, and I said I'm going to create a garden in my backyard and my front yard. I just wore gloves, big thick gloves, and and I created sculptural pieces in my backyard and other art pieces. And one of my favorite flowers is sunflowers, and so I planted lots of sunflowers, and I created some water features and everything like that, and I did. And lighting, and I did the same thing in my front yard as well. But back in January when I was injured, of course, oh, there's my therapist. I'll be right back. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So because of the drought in California is so severe, they asked people not to water, their yards, water gardens, and be cautious of the kind of water use there. But Shona planted a lot of succulents in her yard. And while I was there, I went out there and tried to kind of restore some things over the winter that had kind of let go. And the main bush that's in the front of her yard is this huge sage bush that's taking over the front yard, but it's a huge bush. But she has all these, art installations in the yard, and even the rock formations in the yard are, she created these design concepts, as an art piece. And I guess the garden was part of an art walk 2 years ago when they were visiting outdoor garden spaces. So that was her solace. And now when I was out there, I thought, oh, we're going to get a chance to go sit in the garden, but she's back to being afraid of bugs again. I thought we'd sit out. The challenge would be to sit and create a studio space on the patio, you know what I mean, and enjoy. But it was just ridiculously hot out there and challenging. Here, my challenge is I live in a loft development. There's no garden space. We have a migration garden, but that belongs to the gallery, and it's very beautiful. Birds come visit us as well, but it's an urban environment. And looking at how to use the urban space in gardening and in a major city. And then once you are in the garden, surrounded by the plant life, it's beautiful. For me, I do container gardens and adopt plants that people that are traveling and they're leaving, instead of dumping them and throwing away, they donate them. So I'm creating these container gardens in our spaces and beautifying the indoor space like that.
I'm wondering, everybody has a good connection and way of connecting. I'm wondering how in your day-to-day life you're able to integrate either the thoughts or feelings or actions that empower you around nature. How are you able to engage with that energy, like say when you've got a proposal due 40 minutes from now and you're stressed out, you need to chill, or this, my experience has been that kind of breathing, reflecting, grounding, and moving forward, you know. And I'm wondering if people are able to integrate, you know, it's so funny, it's just a few minutes to help themselves keep the blood pressure down, keep the brain focused, and, you know, be real present to just this moment and gratitude. That's at least what my connection with the natural world and living things. But I think it's important to be able to definitely take time out for that, but also in a certain way, you engage with that experience that you have in your day-to-day life to keep things rolling in a positive, healthy way. So I'm wondering um, if people have strategies around that. And if not, maybe we could just think for a moment and see how one might be able to use.
I for me, I have houseplants as well. And I periodically am given orchids, which last a long time. So I put them where I can see them and they make me happy. However, what you brought up, what I find working from home and then having deadlines or proposals or things due, I get so myopic. I don't like, I'm looking up right now. I have a prayer plant up there and I don't stop enough. I have some other plants down in the living room and the orchids, and I try to like, I grabbed mint out of the garden and put it in a jar in the kitchen so I can smell it or grab it. But I don't take that intentional time to ground with nature when I'm stressed in the way you're suggesting. I like use it as a something to do when I'm done with that or early in the morning, but in the moment. So I would love to integrate some strategies for that.
Yes. See, for myself, it's like my sister told me this thing she does where she just counts to 3 and imagines her favorite. She's not a big nature lover, but her favorite place to be, and take a deep breath. Even for her, I created a little sign for her work area that says, you know, remember. You might want to create something. I like how you say your prayer plant. That's a reminder. Look up. Maybe you have to put a sign that says look up. Because we all know we've all lived enough of life to know that it's a matter of creating habits. It's a matter of reaching out to that wonderful strength and energy that's there for us. And so if it's a sign or just something that always you can use, stop or go or grow, or just an affirmation that reminds you, oh yeah, I have that resource now. Let me go to that resource. We can work together and be strong. And I love how so many people immediately think of the natural world. I say in this other video where I'm just working with the rivers, the flow. This is my flow, okay? So I think of the river flowing into the Chesapeake Bay, especially like I'll offer my troubles to the river, right? And that she's flowing out to the Chesapeake Bay and from the bay out into the ocean and big out into the universe. Just envisioning that coming off of me and flowing away and becoming just this little tiny infinitesimal thing in the giant world helps me get calmer and know, you know, this too shall pass, etc., etc., etc. So that's basically what I'm hoping today is my message for you all is, you know, being intentional around taking care of yourself with that which soothes you and heals you and empowers you. My way, the way I've found my journey has put me in the water. I live in DC. There's 5 big rivers around us. We're a swamp. So the water is my mother. The water is my mother. And so I'm just wanting that for everyone. And I'm thinking maybe by when we meet up next month that everyone could bring a picture of that place for you.
Can I share this? This is one garden installation, I guess, that I was working in when I was in California. So I'm going to share this before. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is showing as installation in her backyard.
Beautiful.
And I had really wanted to see this, right? So I finally got a chance to see it this summer.
It's huge. It almost looks like it has a little clubhouse. Oh, it's an altar. Okay.
It's an altar in the backyard.
Almost.
And so this is one of the solutions for the drought, where the backyard, you don't have any, there's nothing back there. Grass can't move. People that are, doing grass is kind of like, it's fruitless. This is what she has on the back garage back there.
Yeah, I think grass is so yesterday.
just little installations and found objects are all around, and this is her, like, her landscaping.
It's wonderful.
And this is a kind of a work that we're looking at doing at the placemaking project at Florin Square up there in the back. So we'll be showing more pictures of that and how to transform that space we're talking about into, a more of a people place using art and found objects and wrapping trees and, creating we'll show the pictures of that space. But this is, again, the backyard. This is at night. There you go. So she was out there working on that. So I thought I'd share.
I thought you worked on that a couple years ago. You did a mural thing there, or totems?
Yeah, this totem.
This one is your work.
And the youth that were part of the placemaking project.
Oh, I
We're
see.
Bringing art elements into a community center. We found out a lot of the students that attended this, they were from New Orleans. They were that first generation of, people that were housed across the nation. So they created this, clubhouse for the families of the children to come to after school.
I see.
So anyway, yeah, that's us putting it together and installing it.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of working with the outdoors. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we're doing the kind of garden installations and letting kids work in these gardens. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. I like to see more interaction with plants and things like that. In these places that are so dry, there's indigenous plants, native plants that can live through that.
Yeah, we didn't take a picture of the front of Shonet's yard, but we saw all of the succulents that she had, in the front. So I guess you could bring that next time you talk. But I was just bringing how we're creating these
I appreciate seeing
opportunities in these gardens that are dying out there.
But all these photos are just her yard. Is that right?
The second one was a project we did where the focus is on the Harlem Renaissance. And during the Harlem Renaissance, the writers were inside, the poets were inside, and the visual artists were outside doing the garden. That area I was at, the kids very seldom went into that area. So we were creating opportunities for them to come out and be in that dry area. And then when they come in from the backside, which has the vegetation, where there's seating elements, that were out there. A mural was going on out in the back on the side of a shipping container, and then the basketball and bike repair shop is on the other side. So most of the students are the children that come, they are just in that area and then inside with computers. So the space that I just showed you where I was working, it was to encourage them to come out and use that space, right? By creating art elements, while we're out there.
So I absolutely love that work. I've done that work too, that kind of work, outdoors, nature, education, all that kind of stuff. I honestly today have the agenda of supporting the people in this room and the people that they love in that place for themselves. I don't know. Is it different? It's different for me to facilitate out in the community and do wellness for myself. It's an entirely different kind of energy. I love doing that work. I thrive at doing that work, but I also need that personal work that's for me. Because like I was saying before, it's a circle. So we're out there giving our best in the community, and we have to circle back to ourselves. I find it to be so important.
Yeah, I agree. And then finding places to do that. I mean, one of the things that was calming for me this weekend was going along the lake and taking a walk. I live right, not even 10 blocks from the lake. There's a bridge that takes you over the DeSavo Lakeshore Drive, expressway, freeway, highway, depending on where you live. And, if you live west, it's what highway. Freeway, if you live here, it's expressway. I don't know. In the East Coast, it's what do you guys call it? Freeway, expressway. But anyway, just walk.
Lakeshore, you talking about Lakeshore Drive?
Uh-huh.
We don't, you know what? I guess an expressway, but we just call it Lakeshore Drive.
Right. Going over the bridge and into the lake, and and then and that's a true. I can go to the water. You can go to those beautiful rivers and lakes that you have there in Prince George County, Caryl. For me, I can walk over to the lake and do the lakefront, which is beautiful in itself, especially the sunsets, over the lake and when you're out there, and the tranquility of the area. And then you have the horizontal landscape sound noise from the urban behind you, as you are listening to the waters, crushed along, the lake shore, and so it's a beautiful setting out there, depending on whatever time of day you go out there. It's beautiful along Lake Michigan. So I was able to do that on, was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, and explore, and do an art walk like that. Or actually a sound walk, because we were able to record the sounds of, the lake.
Awesome. When I was doing my video, funny thing, I was looking for royalty-free sound, and I found this water flowing and all this, and I went to the guy's website, and he's from Chicago, and all of the noise was from his toilet.
What?
Wait a minute. Oh, you mean on, okay.
All the process are like river and waves and all the stuff he did, which was fabulous. And then he writes in there, it's all been done from my toilet. The water moving through his toilet were the sounds we were listening to, and it sounded just like a river or a lake or rain. He had it all.
I think that's totally hilarious, but I'm doing a soundscape project, so So we're working really hard to create these sounds of the environment or and pull them together as a tapestry, because there's a lot of sounds that echo what you're talking about, like the sound of a thunderstorm, and then after that, all of the water that's rushing and gushing down, you know, on the stairs and the roofs, and you know, and then recording all that out there, and on the backdrop of fireworks. You know, going on. So
sounds fun.
Yeah. So but there's a need for artist retreats, artists taking vacations, and even if the vacations happen just for an hour, as we get out and we explore, especially those of us that are living in the urban environment, if we just get out, even out of the studio for an hour, you know, and explore, you know, nature that's all around us. There's a lot of community gardens to go out and explore. And then, I mean, we have a beautiful lake, you know, right here to venture over to, you know, that surrounds us, you know, here in
Chicago. I would say in closing that when we come together next month, I sure would like each person to bring a visual representation of some aspect of nature that is wonderfully healing for you, or that brings that feeling of gratitude. And please share that with us next time we meet. I would appreciate that, and we'll start from there.
Thank you, Caryl.
Thank you.
I put a link in the chat for everybody, for artists.
Can I get the chat? Save chat.
If you are so inclined to find a spot, I'm gonna apply. It was closed previously. It looks like it's back open. It's this company called Getaway that has these little camping spots all around, and they have kind of a fellowship for one night, and an artist can be sponsored to stay there in nature. And what I love is they have a little box for your cell phone for you to turn it off and put it inside the box.
24 full hours, huh? Without your cell phone?
Here's the Artist Fellowship Getaway.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
And
I feel so happy to have spent this time with you all. Thank you, Alpha, for inviting me to share my work and my thoughts, and to hear the thoughts of everyone else in the space. Really, really great. Appreciate it. Okay, so that's my conversation today. I think I'll go out in the garden. Where's that, Alpha?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That's for next week. I was trying to save them. These are the bricks that I went and salvaged to make this.
Oh,
in my front yard. But I'll bring the pictures. I meant to put those in the album, but I'll bring the pictures kind of how it is now.
Wonderful. Next month, I think. What is it?
Oh, next
first Tuesday. First Tuesday of the month, right, Alpha? For me.
Well, this is the first Tuesday, so.
Yeah, so I'll be around next time. In the meantime, I'm working on my fellowship, and I wish for you all, and actually see you all very well and strong, and getting it done.
You have a few minutes. Do you want to talk to us about your paper making workshop and how you're using the fiber from your garden?
Yes, I know y'all heard me talking about the a circle, and I really am into just really considering where everything starts and where it ends, and especially in terms of what I grow and also what I purchase. I really am not, into buying stuff that ends up in a landfill, but How that has manifested with my garden, and I live in the woods. So um, making fiber for handmade paper out of the leftover plant materials in my garden. And so that's what I'll be doing this whole month and into August at a paper making studio here in the area, and natural dyes and plant fiber.
Can you tell me, you said you're using the leftover or scraps from your garden?
Yes.
To make the paper. That's cool, super cool.
Yeah. So yes, that they have to be cooked down to get rid of the cellulose so that there's only fiber left. And it's that fiber that we make the paper from.
Very Egyptian.
Yes.
Is that your fellowship?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
The fellowship is for making paper. Then I want to have some time in between and then go do some printmaking. I'm thinking of doing some silkscreen printing on fabric and the paper, and then a third period of time where I'm able to bring all of it together into actual artworks.
Are you going to show us next month?
Show you the paper I've been making?
Yeah, what you make. Come on now, you can't hold that.
Well, I know ultimately, but you know, as an artist, that what it is next week may not be that the following week, and you know, you want to take that journey with me. I'll think about it. Yeah.
Okay.
And the location.
Wait a minute. One of your pieces that you showed in your movie, in your whatever film, looked like there was fiber laid on it. It was one that looked like you had built up and collaged. It looked like you had some fiber in it. I don't know if that was fiber or not.
There's 2 or 3 pieces in
that there were a couple pieces
that this work is jumping off from. Yes, good eye. Thank you for noticing. Yeah, definitely. And that was just handmade paper made in my blender here at the house, at the studio here. So I'm very excited about using the real equipment, or so to speak, because really I've been over in Ghana and over in Nigeria doing paper making with their fibers. I mean, the tropical plants, banana leaves and papaya and all that, long fibers, and making paper just from the sisters were pounding the fiber, you know what I mean? And so now I'm going to be at this studio that's got what's called a Hollander beater. It's supposed to make it easier. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with it.
Is this location that is that a historic location? Where you're doing the residency?
No.
The schoolhouse, no?
Oh, the old house. That's where I'll be in September to put everything together. An old 1-room schoolhouse that was the African American school in our area here. And this woman bought it and fixed it up as an artist in residence space. So yeah, I'll be there in the fall.
How cool is that? How cool is that? Well, thank you, Caryl, for presenting today, and we look forward to next month.
Yeah, I really wanted. The one thing I miss about presenting is that I don't get to hear what's going on with Lisa or Shona or Kayla.
Sure, you do.
Your projects.
Yeah.